So this morning is graduation Sunday. Somebody asked me where the party is, where we put all these things, and I don't think that far ahead. Honestly, this is Memorial Day weekend. When I first put this on the agenda, I thought it'd be low-key. My son would be here. He'd be doing it. 2 weeks ago, Brian graduated, so we added him to the mix. Are you comfortable, Brian, in that chair? You happy? He's happy. He's happy. We should have got him a cheeseburger or something, I think, to go along with it. It'd be even better. But anyway, so he's added to the mix and everything. So it's sort of grown, but there's no planned reactions from anyone here or whatever. As you go through, there wasn't a lot of announcement to it, but I thought it would be a good time. So I'm going to do something kind of unique, very unique. And the Breeses are aware of this. I have written a letter to my son. He's not aware of this. In retrospect, I probably couldn't do this with all my children. Probably two I could get away with for sure. I don't know about the third, the fourth, who knows that yet. So, but anyways, I think Elijah will receive this. But it's very personal. If you have the sermon notes, I have a highlighted thing that he will receive in every paragraph, and on the sermon notes, which are in your app, you will be able to see those highlighted lines that I think are very important for him in his journey in that regard. So we're going to go ahead with this, and then after we do this, we're going to have another worship song, okay? And then we're going to have some giving of some, I guess, gifts to the graduates, and they're going to lead out into the parking lot or whatever. I guess the parking lot with COVID. It's a nice day. And they'll greet you out there if you would like to sort of love on them and tell them all good stuff as you go through the line. I do this because I actually had a person told me I was a horrible preacher because I involve my family so much in my messages. And I just talked to somebody last week, and they made a deal never to mention their kid's name in the messages. Well, we do ministry as a family, so we don't believe that, all right? So this might be offensive to some people. I don't mean it that way. And there's a place on your response card they'll come. You can say it was kind of weird and awkward, whatever. Please let me know if you feel that way. But I feel my family was given to me by the grace of God. My wife was given to me by the grace of God. And we purposely and intentionally live in the fishbowl, so to speak. My wife has a webpage that even says that, Living in the Fishbowl. So we embrace our family being public. We think it's what it ought to be as a ministry team. And again, not everybody shares that opinion in that regard. But I'm going to read this letter, and it will be read in that regard. And I say this before you because I think there's some things that you can look into our family and see. And hopefully there's some positive things you can maybe apply to your family or people you know or prayers or whatever it might be. I think there's a lot of good application in this. Elijah the graduate. Look at him sitting right in front of me. Isn't that awesome? It's like I designed this. I'm sharing this letter to you in response to your graduation. I'm doing this in a public manner, but I believe you will receive it well. We have always made our family part of our ministry, and we do not hide from it. So I see no reason not to let this be concealed either. I believe this letter contains things that are clear biblical principles that anyone can apply. Elijah, I am both proud of you and proud of us. While your teen years had some challenging moments, I think there's one morning I had him by the neck. I think so. We both managed this period much better than my dad and I did back in the day. Thinking back over your life, my firstborn and only son, I do not believe it seemed like yesterday since you were born. Those are Mom's words. There has been a breadth to our time together. However, the time does click by faster than one thinks. You have lived in 3 homes and have been immersed in ministry since your birth. You've done all who can call you by name proud. I am thankful for you. Now, it's time to move on to more of your life and less of our life. You are ready. I have no doubt in that. Yes, there will be some growing pains, so welcome those moments. We both tend to be too serious at times, probably me more than you, but learn to laugh at yourself. It eases the pains in those growth moments that are not so fun. Although you are an adult, you always find forms of unconditional love and support from your mother and me. However, we will not bail you out of every calamity that comes your way. We do this because we love you and want nothing but the best for you. I want to give you in this letter some words of advice before you leave to the big university. First is that we called you Elijah for a purpose. I knew before you were born that you would be led to places to stand alone for God. In the liberal university, you will surely have your chance to demonstrate your mettle in this. I'm not fearful for you in this if you live the right way. After all, you were created for this. I cannot say this strong enough. Be the person of Psalms 1. Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or stand around with sinners, or join in with mockers. But they delight in the law of the Lord, meditating on it day and night. They are like trees planted by the riverbank. Thunk, that tree goes in the ground, Elijah. Bearing fruit each season. Their leaves never wither, and they prosper in all they do. But the wicked, they are like worthless chaff, scattered by the wind. They will be condemned at the time of judgment, and sinners will have no place among the godly. For the Lord watches over the path of the godly. Do you hear that? But the path of the wicked leads to destruction. I've always tried to lead you in the principle of first things first. Those things that are important and of high value, you do first in your life. I know in my preaching I say leave room for when in time God works best for you, but I do not know that I fully believe that in my heart. Start your day with God, my son. Give him a half hour and marry that time with a clear habit of your life, like breakfast, the news, and sports. Give God the time before the event. I have learned that my first cup of coffee is combined with the Word. Yes, both read and journal. And may your prayers be more than words. Live them before others, even if it makes you odd. Please don't give God lip service. As a PK, preacher's kid, you know all the right things, but that can be to your detriment if you do not live them. Give your heart and trust in him in your actions. I'll say that again. Give him your heart and trust him in your actions. I have great confidence in God to lead you through the maze at the university if you give him this priority of your time in your life. Elijah, since we've come to Michigan, God has enriched our life with many good people, many good, godly people. Pick one to take with you to school. Pray over this decision. Before you leave, let this person know you want to be accountable to your walk with God with them. It is necessary and fruit-yielding thing to do. Yes, you can bet that I will be checking up on you, but you need someone other than family members. Please trust me in this and make this a priority over the next couple of months. Find friends of faith when you get there. All campuses have Christian organizations, and you can, if you choose, to find good Christian friends to enhance your social time. Find a Bible study or something that you can enrich you in the Word. As I've always said, you will own your own salvation one day. Well, one day is here, so own it. When you find the group or maybe another venue like a class or dorm, find a person you can mentor spiritually. There is great accountability for yourself in leading others in the way of Christ. I know this personally. Somewhere among friends and fellowship with other Christians, God has a special girl for you, unless he calls you to a life of celibacy. Sleep until God awakes you you to the woman he has chosen for you. Do not be impatient and do not try on girls like everyone else. You are better than this. God will be clear when it is time and who it will be. Make sure she is a sincere Christ follower. Your mother has many endearing qualities. Not talking about me publicly about not putting up the filters, though, all right? I'll start again. Your mother has many endearing qualities, but none more endearing than her desire to honor God. Start there. When God awakens you and you find that one, don't mess around, but take it seriously. Do not listen to the romance pundits who tell you when to marry and when not to marry. Your mother and I did it all wrong according to them, but we did it right according to God. And that's all that matters. Do not delay marriage lest sin will enter your life. God's timing is always the right timing. Trust God and his ways in all things, but especially this thing. Place God first in your finances. All of your possessions are to be used for God's will. I like Wesley's advice: make all you can, save all you can, give all you can. You've been taught from the earliest days to give a tenth of your income to a local church. I encourage you never to back away from this. It should be your practice when you are dirt poor or with much. It is a gift from God to you and a weekly reminder that we trust in His provisions, not what we can manufacture on our own. On top of this, be a person who is known to be generous, but not an idiot with money. I'll say that again. On top of this, be a person who's known to be generous, but not an idiot with money. There is middle ground there, so find it. Hopefully your mother and I have lived clearly enough before you, and you can follow our example. Finally, if in your finances you find greed dictating to you, please nip it in the bud. You do this by giving money away. Greed is a temptation of abundance. Do not succumb to it. Many a person's lives are controlled by it, so do not be like the masses. I trust you will do well with all of this. Elijah, I have concerns of 3 areas of your life. This won't be the first time he's heard these concerns. I think Brian can join in on the first one. The first area is your strong desires of your flesh. They are evident for all around to see when you are hungry. I've heard Brian hungry a couple times. It is not a pretty sight, and clearly it is not a demonstration of the fruit of the Spirit. I feel at times like we are living with Esau, not Elijah, laugh out loud. Hunger is just one of many appetites. You are immature in your handling of these desires. It is time to grow up and be accountable. Your fleshly reactions are not aligned with the attributes and will of God, and therefore not acceptable. Learn to discipline yourself. Secondly, you struggle with pride. A good thing is that you're very aware of your prideful ways. One of the ways your pride manifests itself is your refusal to ask for help. Well, I believe you're going to an academic institution where you could throw it all away, throw away a great opportunity if you refuse to ask for help. Humble yourself and learn at much younger age than I did to ask for help. This type of humility is key to your walk consistently with God. No one is an island to themselves. We all need others, no matter how much God-given ability we may have. Third and finally, you live too fast. I truly admire your work ethic. How you can roll up your sleeves and get things done. I proudly say that I do not know anybody your age who can do what you do in this regard. In this, you are a lot like me. While hard work and being able to live like your hair is on fire for long periods of time can be a gift, it can also be a curse. Believe me, I know. No doubt seasons of busyness exist and are necessary, but there should also be seasons of slowness. It is impossible to discern God's will living life fast all the time. Busyness is a tool of the enemy to make you impotent spiritually. Learn to walk slowly, especially daily in your time with God. I will harass you about this until you get it right, I promise. In walking slowly, you'll be more accurately to discern the proper values for your life. In many ways, our lives play out in what we value. Sometimes what we say we value does not really show out in our lives for a true value. By going slow, God has the ability to determine our values for us. If we're going fast, we just react to life as it comes and not implement God's values. So go slow to discern and place those things that God has asked you to value in front of those things that are not highly esteemed for your life. This type of living allows you to live your values and not the tyranny of the urgent. I'm going to say that again, Elijah. This type of living allows you to live your values and not the tyranny of the urgent. All these things mentioned are part of becoming a man, and you are well on your way. Let your mentor know your struggles and talk with them openly about them. Also, let God know your struggles and learn to talk to Him about the feelings inside that you can't describe to anyone else. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. Ultimately, these are issues of sanctification. I always thought that I needed to know what mine was to do and what God's was to do. But John 15 in the illustration of the vine depicts a different picture. It is a picture that can be so enmeshed in the life of Christ that I lose the ability to know where my part ends and God begins. I pray you will find this place far earlier than I found it in your needs. Elijah, I must remind you that you have not arrived at this moment, these opportunities before you by yourself. You are a third-generation Christ follower. Your grandparents, for the most part, are first-generation Christ followers, and that makes your mom and I second-generation Christ followers. You are walking in a heritage of holiness. A heritage of people not only hearing the call of the Lord, but people who became doers of the word. None of us were or are perfect that came before you. And as discussed above, neither are you perfect. However, God has provided these opportunities for you through the obedience of others. Be grateful of your opportunities and do not squander them. You will do what you do and have what you have on the coattails of those who have gone before you. Do not forget that, and don't you dare soil the name of the land that marks you. I end on this thought, Elijah. A couple years ago, your mother and I were driving through Lennon, discussing our frustrations with other people's parental desires for their children. It seemed to us that their hopes and dreams were just so shallow, empty, and devoid of God's desires. This led us to discuss what are our desires for you and your siblings. At the end of the day, what would we qualify as success for your life? We were beginning with the end in view, a very good practice to practice yourself. Elijah, you may find happiness and contentment in life, but that is not our ultimate desire for you. You might have potential to acquire wealth, but that is not our desire for you. You might become a famous weatherman, but that is not our desire for you. Elijah, you are on your way to getting a great academic education, but that is not our desire for you. Elijah, you might be able to acquire a lot of things we never were able to have, like a home, and that is not our desire for you. Elijah, you might have a great and awesome family someday, but that again is not our ultimate desire for you. Elijah, our ultimate desire for you is that you serve in a local church all your days. As we have said to you clearly in the past, you are never just to show up on Sundays and be a seat warmer. Elijah, you are to get involved and use God's gifts and talents for His glory in the local church. Your participation in the body of Christ honors the head of the church, your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So don't you dare use college life as an excuse as to why you can't go not only attend a church service. Find a church, go to the pastor and ask, how can I help? We look forward to hearing your reports of serving the body during your freshman year. You are loved, my son, and all of God's will is before you. Go get it. Your dad.